Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of One Question, One Answer. I said something really funny before I said that, just so it would look like we're all having a good time. But today is a topic that is a little more serious. We've started the year off with some fun ones, but we're early enough in the year here. We're kind of starting to see some trends around things coming out of 2016. The tenor and the topic of public conversation with the campaign, with ways that things are being viewed, with all of the social channels that are now starting to become more mainstream. The topics are starting to become a little bit more dicey, and it's getting to a point where there's a lot of public conversation from people in our industry about the responsibility that they should be taking. One actually caught my attention was somebody from the 4A's, Nancy Hill, with her 2017 media resolution to take a larger stand when she was hearing conversation or people talking about things that maybe aren't necessarily in line with her values or from a social perspective, really appropriate to be talking about in that setting. It got us thinking about what role should agencies really play in governing, monitoring the social conscience. We're consultants to our clients. We want to advise them in the best way possible. But at the same time, the game's changed a little bit. The environment's changed a little bit in terms of what's becoming more accepted. So I had a few folks from IKEA here. I asked them to join, really to answer the question, what should our responsibility as an agency in this industry be when it comes to monitoring those topics or monitoring those conversations? So Jamie, you said you wouldn't mind going first, so we'll start with you. What are your thoughts?
So I think that there's a lot of different areas and avenues that you could potentially insert yourself into in these conversations. And I think you have to be careful about where you pick and choose to go because it's never ending. If we're going to start policing what people are saying online, that could get really tricky. And you have to be prepared to counter back to whatever is said against you when you put yourself out there. And that's not a reason to not do it, but I think probably the best thing to do is to align back to what your company stands for and pick and choose those issues to insert yourself into. So for IKEA, Jan is our owner. We were founded and
service oriented.
Oh no!
So for IKEA, it would probably make sense for us to insert ourselves into conversations around different women's issues and stuff because of what our company stands for. And I would think that that's something that people here would be familiar and comfortable with because this is who we are as an agency, and we're overly represented by women. And I would advise other agencies and companies to do something similar. It makes sense for us to be involved in those conversations. We're involved in that in other areas. It's part of our culture. So I feel like that's probably the best place to begin.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. As long as if you're making a statement or, I guess, putting somebody in their place, Jamie makes a great point that make sure it's based upon the values of the company where you come from. So it doesn't sound like it's one person's opinion. It's a little more representative of what, we believe or how we feel. And it is based on something. It's not just a, quick reaction, based on emotion. There's more to it. Because I think there are few absolutes out there that you can really comment upon where everybody would agree. Of course, kidnapping is bad. That's a line in the sand. Well, of course, that's everybody. But when it does get to be those situations like, that sounded misogynistic what they said, we should call that out. But one person's misogyny might be, oh, you misinterpreted things, or I was. So be ready, like Jamie says, to not just maybe have a conversation and not just say, shame on you, but further explain.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of how you call someone out. So, I mean, you can do it gently, you can do it privately. For me, it's a matter of being true to yourself. So if you are a person who is a unifier and an agency who is a unifier who wants to stand up against prejudice and break down barriers of unequal perceptions, then you can't check that at the door when you come to work, whether you are a factory worker or in a marketing agency. You don't check your character at the door.
That's right.
It should permeate everything that you do as an individual and as an agency. So I agree. You have to be true to yourself, though, first. I agree that you should, if you're uncomfortable in a situation and something comes up, you should be comfortable saying, I'm uncomfortable with that. It's how you do it. And I think the most, hands down way of showing someone that you're uncomfortable or showing someone what you stand for is by leading by example. So when you counter someone in an organization gently and kindly for what they might have said, that reflects as well on you as it does as it helps to correct the problem.
Jan, in your opinion, you've done a lot with internal communications, corporate communications.
Mm-hmm.
Does this really underscore the importance of needing to have a strong values program, culture
Yes.
program, where your employees are clear
Mm-hmm.
on what
What's
the company
acceptable.
expects and what's acceptable?
Right, exactly. Again, that goes to being genuine and authentic, and hopefully you, as an organization, you do believe those values and you do pass them on to your employees. But having said that, if you can't do it because they're your real values, then it absolutely makes good sense from a business point of view, bottom line point
Right.
of view, to be, to do the right thing, because today, you can be under attack at any moment in social media for any misstep that you make. So if you can't do it because it's in you to do the right thing, then do it because it's really a better business decision for your company to do the right thing.
That's right.
I think you have to be careful too. You're representing an entire agency or an entire organization, so people have to watch. You can't just go out and make bold statements or stand out against something because it may not represent everybody in your organization. It may not jive with how your clients feel. So I think it's a really fine line for
Right.
agencies or any organization.
It is a fine line. I think the good point is, and that Mike said it, and so did Jamie, if when you hire people, they understand who you are as an organization and what your values are and what you hold true,
Yeah.
what you believe, then you should have certain expectations that your employees will also live those values. And if they don't hold those values, that's completely fine. They should just seek employment that matches their values. That's all.
You know what I thought was a good example recently of that and understanding, being quick to act if there is something in violation or doesn't jive with that, is the Saturday Night Live writer that made the tweet about Barron Trump,
Yeah.
which Saturday Night Live's been very publicly open and criticizing President Trump. But on the flip
A
side,
child.
kid,
Yeah.
10-year-old,
Too far.
little off limits there
Mhm.
in a lot of ways, and there was really no room for interpretation. They acted very quickly in suspending her, and she had to issue an apology very quickly as well.
That's an example of Saturday Night Live didn't have to come out immediately to do it. They were beaten by public.
Yeah,
Saying
that's
this
right.
is wrong, this is
Especially
wrong,
the
this is
forum.
wrong.
Yeah.
So it's not, the agency doesn't have to be policing this,
Yeah.
but be part of that conversation that the public is having. There's plenty of people looking to find when people are making missteps or have gone too far.
Right.
Yeah.
Lucas, what do you think?
The joy of going last is most of what I was going to say. Has been
Yes.
I agree, especially with what Angela was saying. I mean, I think we need to be careful when we are speaking as the company, when maybe it's our own personal opinions. I mean, I kind of subscribe to the idea that you should, laud and applaud people in public, and that you should criticize and correct people in private.
Yes.
For the most part.
Good point.
I understand that sometimes there are points where, that doesn't go far enough and you can't quite get that. And I think it is, it's a positive thing that some people are willing to publicly go out personally and say, hey, I don't approve of this. That takes courage to do. I think you just need to be careful when you're doing it on an organizational level, unless you're like a nonprofit or someone that is your mission statement in the world to create that kind of change.
That's right.
Good point.
Well, and in closing, I think this is great. This is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to this conversation. I'm really passionate about it personally in terms of helping clients and companies really establish that balance. It's something that you've done a lot of, Jan. I've learned a lot from you in that regard. But I also think that we're living in a very interesting time where you can be as prepared as you possibly can be, but the rules and the landscape is changing constantly, where everything literally is called into question, fact or otherwise, and it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter as much anymore as how the public perceives your reaction to it. So agencies have always been, from really the start of this industry, in a position to be acting in a consultative manner with its clients and with companies to be able to interpret the conditions of the day and how to put the best recommendation forward for their benefit. And I think that's what we should take away from this, is regardless of the tone and however it's being interpreted, or where we may fall personally, we do have a responsibility ultimately to our clients to counsel them, and sometimes that's telling them some things that aren't necessarily comfortable or pushing back on them for their own benefit. So it's definitely not the time to shy away from that, despite the fact that it might be a little dicey at times in there. So great topic. Thank you guys. I know that was a tough one. I think maybe one we could even revisit as the year goes on. So thanks a lot. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next week.